Longer-time viewers will remember that about a year ago I visited an obscure car meet. A meet specifically for the weird and strange, the wallflowers and the social outcasts of the automotive world. Think of cars that have completely disappeared from the street or otherwise never gained any ground in the first place. And so a new year and new edition. Last year I turned up with my Hyundai XG and this time with my Crossfire. And you know you have the right car when you're the only one at the show with a Crossfire. Let's have a look around all the weird and wonderful stuff. After parking my car next to a bunch of other leftover Chryslers, including a Saratoga, a Sebring and a Dodge Daytona wearing the Pentastar badge and Carroll Shelby riding on the side, I then made sure that I got my shameless self-promotion correct and started to look around. And let's just start with this car. This is essentially what the show is meant to be. You look at it and think, that's just another Ford Mondeo. But upon a closer look you'll realize that your European eyes deceive you. This isn't quite a Mondeo, now is it? It looks much like it, but something is off. If we ignore the UK plates that indicate it's foreign, we see it's a Ford Fairmont. And then your mind starts to race, thinking, well, what the hell is a Fairmont? And was this ever sold in Europe? But no, it gets more complicated. This is an Australian car, a car from down under. See, Fairmont doesn't ring a bell, but when I say this, my fellow Australian viewers will get mad at me. The Fairmont is a luxury edition of the Falcon, a car model that dates back all the way to the 1960s, and it's one of those Australian legacy models. And so I find it fascinating that what is considered a very recognizable car over in one part in the world is entirely unknown somewhere else. But guess what? This is fellow YouTuber Hupnut's personal car. So we're looking at an Australian car that was imported to the UK and currently is in the Netherlands. Make sure you check out Hupnut's video that covers the show. You can even spot me in this video where I am explaining the great features of my Crossfire to a massive audience.
Crossfire.
Here is some 70s obscureness for you. This is a Chrysler 160, and for my American viewers, you are right to be surprised because this is a strict non-American Chrysler sold in Europe and Australia. I was also just as dumbfounded when I saw a similar one at an unrelated American car meet. But despite the name, this is not an American car. It's one of those weird badge jobs, sold under various names, like Chrysler, Chrysler Simca, Talbot, and Talbot Simca, and also as the slightly disguised Chrysler Centura in Australia. But it doesn't stop there. Here is another obscure pseudo-American / European / South African car, the Ranger 1700. I'm not even going to explain this car at all, as I've made a video about this car before where I explained the confusing story in great detail, so make sure that you check it out. I feel blessed finally seeing a car with my own eyes where 6 nations worked on to create it. And yes, it's as confusing as it sounds. Typical GM market trickery. Give me GM. This is the Lancia Thesis, one of those cars that would be an attractive choice if you wanted to get something different than the BMW 5 Series or Mercedes E-Class. And yet, it failed. Mostly because of being a Lancia and having this unique but questionable styling. I like it because it's so strange. I like the tasteful integration of what is essentially a shield-shaped 1940s grille, but the shield-like headlights do raise some eyebrows. I love the rear end styling though, clear taillights that cascade down the rear like a crystal waterfall, and I'm convinced that some Jaguar designers drove a Lancia when they designed the XJ. Now here's something out of the extraordinary ordinary, a brand spanking new Honda E. What the hell does that do here? Well, it certainly is rare, since I've only seen a couple of them on the road ever since they came out 3 years ago. Why? Well, it sucks. Besides its cute retro looks, I compared its range and pricing to some other compact EVs and it's way out of whack. The car fails because the range versus the price just simply isn't competitive. And that's why this car will always remain rare. Moving over from Honda to Mazda. There are parts of the world where they love the compact hatchback, and then there are parts of the world that love the mini sedan. The Netherlands loves the former, but Mazda decided to sell the latter over here anyway. This is a Mazda 121. If the cute early 90s bubbly style hasn't won you over, how about the optional teddy bear rims? The total length of this battle cruiser is a whopping 380 centimeters or 150 inches. The car quickly gained the nickname the Bowler Hat over here because, well, I'll let you figure that one out. And so we go from the smallest sedan out there to one massive car, which for me is one of the highlights of the show. Do you have any clue what this is? No, the badging, or the lack thereof, isn't going to help you. It's a Hyundai Centennial, in other parts of the world known as the Aquas. And I have an unhealthy love and obsession with this car since I used to drive the model that was positioned just below it, the XG350. And so it's my guess that this car is just 10 times more comfortable, smooth and soft riding. It's essentially a Korean Lincoln Town Car, powered by a 4.5-liter V8. I like that it has such an understated and easy design. I believe they were never officially sold over here, but were the official company cars used at the 2006 FIFA Football World Cup in Germany. And I know there is one for sale right now in Germany. Can't resist. Let's move on before I make any unreasonable purchases. Because this odd-looking fellow is a French Peugeot 24. Call it a quirky French design that looks like a late 50s B-film flying saucer, but I see a car that is accidentally extremely ahead of its time. The design looks, with a bit of an imagination, like it could belong in the 1990s, thanks to its sleek and slippery smooth curves. It looks fast by standing still. In fact, that other French car company, Citroën, eventually took inspiration from Peugeot's unique headlight setup. Is this a classic car with a truly timeless design? Let me know in the comments. I wanted to be unique, so I bought a Renault Wind, just like everyone else. Passing gas in a Renault Wind. Oh yeah? I wanted to be unique, so I bought a Honda Beat, just like everyone else. I wanted to be unique, so I bought a Daihatsu Copen, just like everyone else. I wanted to be unique, so I bought a smart Roadster, just like everyone else. Let's just say that I find it interesting that when you go to a rare car meet, you turn up with your car club. Anyway, I'm sticking a bit longer to all these smarts. We all know the regular smart, right? The miniature smart car choice for smart people. Eventually, Smart decided to branch out. After a couple years of the initial release of the Smart 4.2, they released the Roadster, a sporty version. Slightly bigger, just as light, and the same 700cc turbocharged inline-3 engine, making around 80 horsepower. It's the expensive sports car experience on a budget. But wait, there's more. Introducing the very obscure Smart Crossblade. It's like the convertible version of a regular Smart, and this thing is absolute nuts. It's a Roadster, has no windshield, nor center rearview mirror, and practically no doors. Only 2 upright bars you can fold down, and those are essentially your doors. About 2,000 of these were made, and this is number 1802. You seriously start to wonder who thought this car was a good idea, and also start to wonder how Smart and Mercedes got away with this, considering its limited safety features. Keeping it in the small sports car niche, carmaker Ford offered various compact cars like the Fiesta. But the Fiesta has grown over time, and by the early 2000s, Ford introduced an even smaller city car positioned below the Fiesta, the Ka, or K, or whatever. The Ka featured Ford's new Edge styling theme and was a very successful model. Even today, with a bit of luck, you can still find regular Kas from the early 2000s on the streets. And so what Smart did with the Crossblade, so did Ford with the Ka. This is a Streetcar, a convertible version of the regular Ka. It's the luxury trim option with heated leather seats, air conditioning, and heated door mirrors. The exterior features a slightly modified design with sharper lines and angrier look. The Streetcar is like the convertible version of the sports car, which was presented as the evil twin of the regular car, and the commercials are hilarious. Just take a look. I wanted to be unique, so I bought a Daihatsu Kuore. Just like everyone... Oh. At a show like this you can never miss with a Nissan Pike car. The most famous of all was the Figaro, also present at the show, and with a bit of luck not the most uncommon sign on the road on a sunny day. But I have never seen one of the other Pike cars, like the Nissan Pau. The Pau was the more functional option of the bunch and styled after various classic European cars, like, of course, the classic Mini. Another one of those quirky and completely burned down to the ground cars is the Fiat Multiplier, the European Pontiac Aztek, so to speak. Maybe one day I'll make a technical design analysis on what makes these cars so hideous. But for now, let's assume that the message on this window sticker is true. Currently, these cars passed the stage of getting ridiculed, and a small dedicated group of enthusiasts is emerging. Heck, what if I told you that the cars shown here are actually for rent? You can rent these cars, maybe as a great wedding car. You can sit with 3 people in the front, that's what makes these cars so practical. And so that makes it a great choice for all you promiscuous, polyamorous people out there. Let's end this show with a car that is, of course, American. See, you could turn up with your Tri-5 Chevy, because sure, they are rare in their own respect, but not at a show like this. Meet the Studebaker Lark. Obscure back then, obscure back now, obscure in its home country, and even more obscure over here. The Lark was a last resort for failing Studebaker in the early 60s, a compact car created by cutting up the full-size Studebaker. Still seats 6 in comfort, but in a reasonable package. Only one look at its interior reveals it's an affordable economy car. Only 2 gauges and a steering wheel. No radio, no air conditioning, no nothing. I get happy seeing that even the leftover American cars get some respect at this show. And this concludes our little visit at this weird and wonderful show. I'm happy that it exists, and I look forward visiting it again next year. Who knows what we'll see then.